Do-hyun Kim stood in line with the other new recruits at Station Epsilon, trying not to stare at the beings around him. He was the only human among them. The others were all at least 8 feet tall, with skin colors ranging from deep purple to bright green. Their long limbs made them look like they could cover the length of the space station's hallway in just a few steps. At 5 feet 8 inches, Do-hyun felt like a child among giants. He kept his back straight and his eyes forward, just as he had learned during his brief training on Earth. The weight of his new Galactic Defense Force uniform felt strange on his shoulders. It was made of a material he had never seen before, something that seemed to shift and adjust to his movements. "Well, what do we have here?" A deep voice boomed from above. Did someone bring their young offspring to the military station? Laughter echoed through the hallway. Do-hyun looked up to see Sergeant Jae-ho Lee, the training instructor, towering over him. The sergeant's violet skin gleamed under the station's bright lights, and his 4 eyes narrowed as he studied Do-hyun. "No, sir," Do-hyun replied clearly, keeping his voice steady. "Private Do-hyun Kim reporting for duty, sir. First human recruit assigned to Station Epsilon." The sergeant circled around him slowly. A human, the new species that just joined the Alliance. He shook his head. "You're even smaller than I expected. How do you plan to carry our weapons? They're designed for real soldiers." More laughter came from the line of recruits. Do-hyun noticed one of them, a female with silvery skin named Yoonji Choi, wasn't laughing. She was watching him with curiosity instead. "I will do whatever is required of me, sir," Do-hyun answered. He had heard comments like this before, during the selection process on Earth. The aliens always focused on size, never understanding that humans had evolved under different conditions. Commander Haendel Park appeared at the end of the hallway. His golden uniform marked him as the station's highest-ranking officer. The other recruits immediately stood straighter, their laughter dying away. "Sergeant Lee," the commander called out, his voice echoing. "I see you've met our human recruit." "Yes, sir," the sergeant replied. "I was just explaining to him the challenges he might face." The commander walked closer, his movements graceful despite his massive size. "Private Kim's test scores were among the highest we've seen. The Alliance believes humans have unique qualities that will benefit our forces." He paused, looking down at Do-hyun. "Though I admit, I'm curious to see how those qualities will manifest in actual training." Do-hyun kept his expression neutral, but inside, his determination grew stronger. He knew what these aliens saw when they looked at him, a small, weak creature who couldn't possibly survive their training. They didn't know about Earth's higher gravity or how it had shaped human evolution. They didn't understand that what looked like weakness was actually carefully contained strength. "All recruits, follow me to the barracks," Sergeant Lee ordered. "Let's see if our human friend can keep up with a simple walk." As they moved through the station's corridors, Do-hyun matched their pace easily. He noticed some of the recruits watching him, waiting for him to struggle with their long strides. Instead, he moved efficiently, his earth-born muscles working well even in the station's artificial gravity. They'd reached the barracks, a large room filled with beds that looked too big for him. Yoonji Choi, the silver-skinned recruit who hadn't laughed earlier, was assigned to the bed next to his. "Don't worry about the sergeant," she whispered as they stored their gear. "He treats all new recruits this way at first." Do-hyun nodded in thanks, but he wasn't worried. Soon enough, they would all understand what humans were capable of. He just had to wait for the right moment to show them. The first week of training tested Do-hyun's patience more than his strength. Sergeant Lee made him run extra laps around the station's training deck, claiming that his shorter legs needed more practice to keep up with the other recruits. What the sergeant didn't notice was that Do-hyun never got tired. "Another 10 laps, Private Kim," Sergeant Lee ordered one morning, while the other recruits were already heading to breakfast. "Your pace is still too slow." "Yes, sir," Do-hyun replied, starting his additional laps. He kept his breathing steady, his feet moving in the same careful rhythm. The station's artificial gravity was set lower than Earth's, making each step feel too light, like he might float away. But he had learned to control his movements, to hide how easy it really was. From the observation deck above, Commander Park watched with growing interest. He noticed how Do-hyun's running form never changed, even after 2 hours of continuous exercise. The human never stumbled, never gasped for breath, never showed signs of fatigue. During meals, Do-hyun sat alone at first. The tables and chairs were too big for him, forcing him to reach up just to eat. But on the 4th day, Yoonji joined him, bringing her tray to his corner of the dining hall. "The others think you're strange," she said, her silver skin reflecting the overhead lights. "They say you never complain, never show pain. Even when Sergeant Lee makes you carry double loads during equipment drills." Do-hyun looked up from his food. "There's nothing to complain about. The work isn't hard." Yoonji's eyes widened. "Not hard. Yesterday you carried 8 power cells across the training deck. Most of us can only manage 4. The weight helps me feel more normal," Do-hyun explained. "Everything here is too light." Before Yoonji could ask what he meant, Sergeant Lee's voice boomed across the hall. "Private Kim, time for your cleaning duties. The weapons storage needs organizing." Do-hyun stood up calmly, noting how some of the other recruits smirked. They thought the sergeant was punishing him with extra work. They didn't understand he was actually getting more familiar with the station's weapons than any other recruit. In the weapons storage room, Do-hyun carefully lifted each rifle, memorizing its weight and balance. He learned which ones were considered heavy by alien standards, hiding his surprise at how light they felt to him. Earth's gravity had made humans stronger than they knew. One evening, after most recruits had gone to sleep, Master Sergeant Min Seo Kang found Do-hyun in the training room, practicing with the standard issue rifle. "Your form is wrong," Min Seo said, making Do-hyun turn around quickly. "You're holding it like it's heavier than it is." Do-hyun lowered the rifle. "I'm trying to match the training videos, sir." "Those videos show proper form for normal recruits," Min Seo explained. "But you're not normal, are you?" There was no mockery in his voice, only curiosity. "I'm just trying to fit in, sir." Min Seo walked closer, his green scales catching the dim light. "Don't. Fitting in won't help you or us. Show us what you can really do instead." Do-hyun thought about this as he returned to the barracks. Yoonji was still awake, reading something on her datapad. She looked up as he passed. "You know," she whispered, "some of us are starting to wonder about you. Sergeant Lee works you harder than anyone, but you never break. How is that possible?" "Maybe humans are stronger than we look," Do-hyun replied quietly. That night, lying in his oversized bed, Do-hyun made a decision. He would stop holding back so much. It was time to show them what a human could really do. Tomorrow, during weapons training, they would all learn the truth about Earth's gravity and the strength it had given its people. The weapons training room buzzed with excitement. Today was the day recruits would handle the Mark VI plasma cannon, the heaviest infantry weapon in the Galactic Defense Force. Master Sergeant Min Seo stood at the front of the room next to the massive weapon, which rested on a reinforced metal stand. "This," Min Seo announced, "is what you'll need to master before graduation. The Mark VI can stop a battle tank, but it requires great strength to handle. Many soldiers never qualify to use it." Do-hyun stood at the back of the group, watching carefully. The cannon was bigger than he was, its metal surface gleaming under the bright lights. He noticed Sergeant Lee and Commander Park had both come to watch this session. "Who wants to try first?" Min Seo asked. A large recruit with blue skin stepped forward. He wrapped his long arms around the cannon and lifted. His muscles strained, and he managed to raise it to firing position for 10 seconds before having to put it down. Sweat covered his blue skin. "Good effort," Min Seo said. "Remember, few can hold it for more than 30 seconds. One by one, the recruits tried. Some could barely lift it. Others managed to hold it briefly. Yoonji did better than most, lasting 20 seconds before her arms started shaking. Not bad for a first try, Sergeant Lee said. Then his four eyes fixed on Do-hyun. Private Kim, your turn. Try not to hurt yourself. The room went quiet as Do-hyun walked forward. Some recruits looked worried for him. Others tried to hide their smiles, expecting entertainment. Sir, Do-hyun said to Min-seo, what is the proper way to lift it? Place your hands here and here. Min-seo showed him the grips. But Private Kim, maybe you should just. Do-hyun reached for the weapon. The metal felt cool under his hands. He took a deep breath, remembering Earth's stronger gravity, all the years of living with that constant weight. Then he lifted. The cannon came up smoothly, as if it were made of plastic instead of heavy metal. Do-hyun brought it to his shoulder in one fluid motion. The barrel stayed perfectly steady in his hands. Complete silence filled the room. Private Kim, Min-seo said slowly, are you having trouble? No, sir, Do-hyun replied. The weight feels good, like home. Commander Park stepped forward. How is this possible? That cannon weighs more than you do. Earth's gravity is much stronger than standard, Do-hyun explained, still holding the weapon steady. We're used to carrying our own weight many times over, every day of our lives. To prove his point, Do-hyun began moving through the basic firing stances. The massive cannon shifted smoothly in his hands as if it were a training toy. He turned, aimed, and adjusted his position, never showing any sign of strain. Sergeant Lee's mouth hung open. How long can you hold it? I'm not sure, sir, Do-hyun answered honestly. I haven't felt tired yet. Yoon-ji started laughing, a sound of pure delight. All this time you let everyone think you were weak. Not weak. Commander Park corrected her. Different. We've been measuring him by the wrong standards. He turned to address the whole room. It seems we have much to learn about our human allies. Do-hyun finally lowered the cannon, placing it carefully back on its stand. As he stepped back, he saw respect replacing the doubt in the other recruit's eyes. Even Sergeant Lee was looking at him differently. Private Kim, Commander Park said, I believe we need to rethink your training program, and perhaps our entire understanding of human capabilities. Looking around the room at the astonished faces, Do-hyun allowed himself a small smile. This was just the beginning of what humans could show them. News of Do-hyun's demonstration spread through Station Epsilon like a solar flare. Within hours, the station's medical team requested his presence in the science lab. Commander Park and Sergeant Lee came to observe as the doctors examined him. Dr. Song, the head of medical research, scanned Do-hyun's body with advanced equipment. Her purple eyes widened as she studied the results. Fascinating, she said, pointing to the three-dimensional display of Do-hyun's muscle structure. Look at the density of his muscle fibers. They're packed much tighter than ours. Commander Park stepped closer to the display. Explain what this means, Doctor. Humans evolved under much stronger gravity than most species, Dr. Song said. Their bodies adapted by becoming incredibly strong for their size. Private Kim's muscles are nearly 5 times denser than ours. Do-hyun sat quietly on the examination table, watching their reactions. He had known about these differences, but seeing them displayed so clearly was new even to him. But it's not just muscles, Dr. Song continued. His bones are remarkably dense too. They have to be, to support movement under Earth's gravity. In our standard gravity, he's actually much stronger than he would be at home. Sergeant Lee crossed his arms. So when I was making him run extra laps, he was probably enjoying the light exercise. Dr. Song finished with a smile. Earth's gravity is nearly twice what we use here. The door opened, and Yoon-ji entered with Master Sergeant Min-seo. They had been testing the Mark VI plasma cannon's weight measurements. Sir, Min-seo reported to Commander Park, the cannon weighs 287 standard units. Private Kim was holding it steady for over 10 minutes. No one has ever done that before. Commander Park turned to Do-hyun. Why didn't you tell us about these capabilities? We were taught to be careful, Sir, Du Hyun explained, some species might find our strength threatening. We wanted to prove ourselves as allies first. Threatening? Yoon-jae laughed. Du Hyun, you're the gentlest person I know. You even help carry equipment for others when they're tired. Dr. Song displayed a new set of scans. That's another interesting point. Humans appear to have excellent control over their strength. They've evolved not just to be strong, but to be careful with their strength. Sergeant Lee watched the scans with growing interest. So all humans are like this. It's not just Private Kim. There's some variation, Du Hyun said. But yes, most humans have similar capabilities. Some are even stronger. Commander Park was quiet for a moment, thinking. Then he pressed a button on his communicator. This is Commander Park. I need to speak with Galactic Command immediately. We need to revise our entire approach to human integration. As the commander left the room, Sergeant Lee turned to Du Hyun. Private, I believe I owe you an apology. I mistook physical size for capability. That was my error. No apology needed, sir, Du Hyun replied. You helped me train harder. That's what a good surgeon does. Yoon-jae stepped closer to the medical display. So when you told me the weight helped you feel more normal. Earth's gravity makes everything here feel too light, Du Hyun explained. Extra weight helps me move more naturally. Dr. Song made some final notes on her datapad. This changes everything. We need to design new training programs, new equipment. The Galactic Defense Force has never had soldiers with these kinds of capabilities before. As they left the medical lab, Du Hyun felt a weight lift from his shoulders. Not a physical one, but the weight of hiding his true nature. Now he could finally show them everything humans could do. 1 week after the medical examination, Station Epsilon received new training orders from Galactic Command. Commander Park called all recruits to the main training hall to explain the changes. The large room was filled with excitement as everyone waited to hear the announcement. Based on our discoveries about human physical capabilities, Commander Park began, we are creating new joint training programs. Private Kim will help design exercises that use both human and alien strengths. Do Hyun stood straighter as the commander continued speaking. From today, Private Kim will work with Sergeant Lee to develop these programs. We want to learn how to fight together, using each species' natural advantages. After the announcement, Sergeant Lee took Do Hyun to the equipment room. The walls were lined with weapons and training gear of all sizes. Tell me, Private, Sergeant Lee said, how would you use these weapons differently than we do? Do Hyun picked up a standard rifle. We could carry more ammunition, sir, and we could use the heavier weapons as mobile units instead of fixed positions. Show me, the sergeant said. Do Hyun demonstrated how a human could move quickly while carrying the Mark VI plasma cannon. He ran, jumped, and changed direction, all while keeping the heavy weapon steady. Incredible, Sergeant Lee muttered. Our current tactics never considered this possibility. Later that day, Do Hyun worked with Yoon-jae to practice new formation movements. Her natural speed combined with his strength created interesting possibilities. If I run ahead to scout, Yoon-jae said, you could follow with heavy weapons for support. We could move faster than any current heavy weapons team. And I could carry extra supplies, Do Hyun added. That would let you move at full speed without being weighed down. Word spread through the station about the new training methods. Other instructors came to watch, taking notes and asking questions. Even some senior officers from other stations arrived to observe. During one demonstration, Do Hyun carried 3 Mark VI cannons at once, one on each shoulder and one in his hands. The watching officers gasped as he moved through the obstacle course without slowing down. This changes our entire approach to combat, one visiting officer said to Commander Park. A single human soldier could carry the firepower of an entire squad. Master Sergeant Min Seo worked with Do Hyun to modify the weapons for human use. They added extra grips and adjusted the balance to match human movement patterns. Your species thinks differently about weight, Min Seo observed. You don't just carry it, You use it to move better. Do-hyun explained how humans used weight in sports and exercise. On Earth, we often train with extra weight to become stronger. It's part of our culture. The other recruits started asking Do-hyun to help them train. They wanted to learn how humans exercised and built strength. Yoon-ji became his regular training partner, and together they created new workout routines that benefited both species. I never thought I'd be taking training advice from someone half my size, Sergeant Lee admitted one day. But you've taught us all something important about judging others. Commander Park seemed pleased with the changes. He often watched the joint training sessions, taking notes and sending reports to Galactic Command. This is more than just physical training, he told Do-hyun. You're helping us learn to work together, to see beyond our differences. As Do-hyun prepared for bed that night, Yoon-ji stopped by his bunk. You know, she said, you've changed everything here. Not just the training, but how we think about each other. Do-hyun smiled. That's what humans do best, he replied. We adapt, and we help others adapt too. 2 months after the new training program began, Station Epsilon received an emergency call. Space pirates had attacked a civilian transport ship near the station. Commander Park immediately ordered a response team to prepare for action. This is not a drill, Commander Park announced over the station speakers. All combat-ready personnel report to the hangar bay immediately. Do-hyun rushed to the armory with the other soldiers. Sergeant Lee was already there, handing out weapons. When Do-hyun approached, the sergeant gave him 2 Mark VI plasma cannons without hesitation. Private Kim, you'll be on heavy weapons support, Sergeant Lee ordered. Yoon-ji will be your spotter. The pirates have battle mechs, and we need your firepower. The response team boarded their transport ship quickly. Do-hyun sat next to Yoon-ji, checking his weapons as the ship lifted off. Around them, other soldiers watched with newfound respect as he handled the massive cannons with ease. Pirates weren't expecting us to have a human on the team, Yoon-ji said quietly. Their mechs won't know what hit them. The transport ship approached the battle zone. Through the viewport, Do-hyun could see the civilian ship. 3 pirate vessels surrounded it, and large battle mechs were trying to cut through its hull. Team 1, protect the civilian ship. Commander Park's voice came through their communicators. Team 2, engage the battle mechs. Private Kim, you're with Team 2. The transport's doors opened, and the soldiers moved out into space. Their magnetic boots and combat suits protected them from the vacuum. Do-hyun activated both plasma cannons, 1 in each hand. First time I've seen someone dual-wield Mark VIs in real combat, Sergeant Lee commented. Show them what you can do, Private. The battle mechs turned toward them, their metal arms raising weapons. But before they could fire, Do-hyun was already moving. In the zero gravity of space, his Earth-trained muscles gave him incredible control. He fired both cannons at once, their blue energy beams hitting the first mech directly in its power core. The machine exploded silently in the vacuum of space. The other mechs started retreating, surprised by the unexpected firepower. Yoon-ji, on your left. Do-hyun called out, spotting a pirate trying to flank them. He shifted one cannon to cover her while keeping the other aimed at the mechs. Thanks, she replied, moving quickly to a better position. They're falling back to their ships. The pirates hadn't expected such strong resistance. Their mechs were designed to intimidate normal response teams, but Do-hyun's heavy weapons changed everything. Within minutes, the pirate ships were retreating, leaving their damaged mechs behind. All units report, Commander Park ordered. Civilian ship is secure, Team 1 reported. No casualties. Pirates are retreating, Sergeant Lee added. Private Kim's firepower was decisive. Back on Station Epsilon, the success of the mission created excitement. It was the first real combat test of the new human-alien combined tactics, and it had worked perfectly. Outstanding work, Private, Commander Park said during the debriefing. Your performance today will be included in my report to Galactic Command. This proves the value of our new training methods. Sergeant Lee looked prouder than ever. "When I first saw you, I thought you were too small to be a soldier. Now I know that being different isn't a weakness, it's an advantage." That evening, the entire station celebrated the successful mission. Du Hyun sat with his fellow soldiers, no longer feeling like an outsider. He had proven that humans weren't just strong enough to serve in the Galactic Defense Force. They were exactly what it needed. 1 month after the pirate incident, Station Epsilon received important visitors. The Supreme Commander of the Galactic Defense Force arrived with his staff to observe the new human-alien training program. Du Hyun and his fellow soldiers stood at attention in the main training hall, waiting for inspection. "At ease, soldiers," the Supreme Commander said. His golden uniform sparkled under the lights, and his deep blue skin marked him as a member of the ancient stellar core species. "I've read Commander Park's reports about your achievements here. Now I want to see them for myself." Commander Park stepped forward. "Supreme Commander, with your permission, we've prepared a demonstration. Private Kim will show you our new combat techniques." The Supreme Commander nodded, and Du Hyun moved to the center of the training hall. Master Sergeant Min Seo had set up a special course with moving targets and obstacles. This time, they had added something new: 3 Mark VI plasma cannons and a heavy shield. "Impossible," one of the visiting officers whispered. "No one can carry that much equipment." Do Hyun took a deep breath and lifted all the weapons. He secured the shield to his back, held 1 cannon in each hand, and balanced the third on his shoulder using a special harness Min Seo had designed. Then he began the course. The entire room went silent as Du Hyun moved. He jumped over barriers, rolled under obstacles, and hit every target perfectly. The heavy weapons moved with him as if they were light as feathers. When moving targets appeared, he fired all 3 cannons at once, something never seen before in the Galactic Defense Force. "Remarkable," the Supreme Commander said when Du Hyun finished. "And you say all humans have similar capabilities?" "Yes, sir," Commander Park replied. "Some are even stronger. We're just beginning to understand their potential." The Supreme Commander turned to address all the soldiers. "What I've seen here today changes everything. We've been fighting the same way for centuries, but humans bring new possibilities." He looked directly at Du Hyun. "Private Kim, you and your fellow humans have proven yourselves to be more than just new allies. You are the future of our combined forces." After the demonstration, the Supreme Commander met with the station's officers. Du Hyun returned to his regular duties, but he could feel the excitement spreading through the station. Everyone knew that big changes were coming. That evening, Sergeant Lee found Du Hyun in the training room. "The Supreme Commander has ordered the creation of new heavy weapons units," he announced. "They want humans and aliens working together, using our different strengths. And they want you to help train them." "Me, sir?" Du Hyun asked, surprised. "You've shown us all what's possible," the sergeant replied. "Now it's time to teach others." Yoonja rushed into the room with more news. "They're sending more human recruits to the station. We're going to be the main training center for human-alien combined operations." Commander Park came to see Du Hyun later that night. "Private Kim, your actions have opened a new chapter in Galactic Defense Force history. The Supreme Commander has authorized an immediate promotion for you. You'll be helping to design our new training programs." Do Hyun thought about how far things had come since his first day on the station. From being mocked as too small and weak, he had helped change the entire Galactic Defense Force's understanding of what was possible. "Thank you, sir," he said to Commander Park. "But the credit belongs to everyone here. We succeeded because we learned to work together, to see the strength in our differences." Commander Park smiled. "Well said, Sergeant Kim. Well said indeed." 6 months after the Supreme Commander's visit, Station Epsilon had changed completely. The training halls were filled with both alien and human recruits working together. Du Hyun, now Sergeant Kim, stood before a new class of mixed-species soldiers. "Welcome to Advanced Heavy Weapons Training," he announced to the group. "Here, you will learn how different species can work together to become stronger than any of us could be alone." Among the recruits, he saw faces of all colors and sizes. Tall, purple-skinned aliens stood next to shorter, stockier humans. Each brought their own strengths to the unit. In the front row, he recognized a small human recruit who reminded him of himself from months ago. Commander Park watched from the observation deck as Du Hyun demonstrated the proper way to handle the Mark VI plasma cannon. The commander smiled, remembering how far they had come from the days when they thought humans were too weak to be real soldiers. Sergeant Kim, a voice called from the doorway. It was Yoon-ji, now a senior training officer herself. The new shipment of modified weapons has arrived. Master Sergeant Min Seo wants your approval on the designs. The weapons storage room was filled with new equipment. Min Seo had created special harnesses that let humans carry multiple heavy weapons while allowing alien soldiers to support them with their greater speed and reach. Each piece was designed to use both species' natural advantages. Look at this, Min Seo said proudly, showing Do Hyun a new combat suit. It adjusts to any gravity level. Now our soldiers can train together in Earth normal gravity, helping aliens build more strength while letting humans maintain theirs. Later that day, Do Hyun met with Commander Park in his office. The walls were covered with commendations from Galactic Command, many mentioning the success of the human integration program. Sergeant, Commander Park said, we've received new orders. They're building 5 more training stations like Epsilon. They want you to help set them up. 5 more stations, sir? Do Hyun asked. Yes. The Galactic Defense Force has finally understood what we learned here. That strength comes in many forms, and true power lies in how we work together. That evening, Do Hyun walked through the station's halls. He passed the spot where Sergeant Lee had first mocked his size, now turned into a special training area. He saw the weapons room where he had first lifted the Mark VI, now filled with new recruits practicing together. In the dining hall, he found Sergeant Lee sharing a meal with both alien and human soldiers. The sight made him smile. No more separated tables, no more doubt or mockery. Just soldiers working together. Sergeant Kim, Lee called out. Join us. We were just telling the new recruits about your first day here. About how wrong we all were, Yoon-ji added with a laugh. Do Hyun sat down with them, looking around at the changed station. Everything was different now. The training, the weapons, the attitudes. But most importantly, the future was different. You know, he said to the group, when I first arrived here, I thought I had to prove that humans were strong enough to be part of the Galactic Defense Force. But what we really proved was that true strength isn't about size or power. It's about working together, about combining our differences to make something better. Commander Park's voice came over the station speakers, making an announcement that brought a smile to Do Hyun's face. Attention all personnel. The first group of Joint Human-Alien Heavy Weapons Specialists has completed their training. Graduation ceremony will begin in 1 hour. All hands attend. It was the beginning of a new era in the Galactic Defense Force, and it had started with one small human who wasn't afraid to show his true strength.